So, everybody, breaking news this morning from Matt Schlapp, one of my favorite names in politics, Matt Schlapp, who is the chair of CPAC, the famous right wing convention that happens in February of each year. And he has officially confirmed that Tulsi Gabbard will be speaking at CPAC this year. You see that graphic right there from Matt Schlapp himself. He added her. She's got the logo there. Confirmed February 24th to 27th. Tulsi Gabbard, 2020 presidential candidate and former congresswoman. So, Tulsi really became a national name in 2016 when she quit the DNC in order to endorse Bernie Sanders in the 2016 primary. Then, of course, she ran for president in 2020 as one of the few Democrats who supported Medicare for all at the beginning of the campaign, at least. And then she, like just about everyone except Bernie himself, ended up waffling on that. She obviously quit her job as the congresswoman from Hawaii. And she then kind of went on this like right-wing media tour where she started talking more and more about, woke culture as being harmful and, the far left is being hateful and stuff. And she mostly reserved that anger for the woke people, which didn't really bother me that much. Then she took it a step further. She went on Sean Hannity's show during the Build Back Better negotiations and basically called Build Back Better a sort of cradle to grave entitlement program, which she basically just went full throated Reaganite there, which was very out of character for her. And a lot of people thought she was kind of a snake all along. And look, it's hard to really argue with that given her transformation over the years. Having said that, it does seem like she may be positioning herself for a run for the presidency on the Republican ticket in 2024. I wouldn't be shocked if she came out and said she was running. And if she did, despite all of the, lousy developments in her career over these past several years, I would be very tempted to switch parties and vote for her in the Republican primary because it's a no-brainer. Tulsi or Biden, Tulsi or Harris, it's Tulsi all day, every day. Even considering what a snake she's been, even considering we don't really trust her. Because Tulsi would be the one Republican who you would kind of trust not to like completely dismantle all of the good parts of the ACA if they did healthcare reform. Like, I don't think she would go from Medicare for all to no, everybody's on their own. It's going to be completely market based, no caps on care rations, no protections for pre-existing conditions. Like, I don't think she would go that far. I think she'd be the closest thing to Russell, what your article was about, which is that, hey, why not just try this kind of like progressive populist movement inside the Republican Party? She would be the spearhead of that. I mean, that would be essentially, she would basically be taking a page out of your book if she ran as a Republican and tried to steer it in that direction. And I would have to support her if she did it. I'd have to. Over Harris or Biden, it's a fucking no-brainer. Are you kidding me? This is someone who's probably going to be, worst case scenario, just as bad as they are on economic issues. I mean, it's not like we're getting anything on economic issues from Biden Harris. And she's against big tech censorship. She's against regime change wars. Like, I can't see you doing much better than Tulsi on the Republican ticket. And that's, again, I say that completely understanding just what a disappointment she has been to, like, die-in-the-wool leftists like us these past few years.
It's not a disappointment to me, and I don't see her as a snake. I think she is a living embodiment of what happens when the Democrats, as represented by liberals and the party establishment, decide to turn on the charm with people that should be in their coalition. They charmed her all the way into possibly running for the presidency as a Republican.
I mean, that's interesting.
She started out somebody who overall economically was definitely a person of the left. Culturally, they wouldn't take yes for an answer from her, as they so often won't. Right. She had been raised in this very conservative Hindu family, kind of fundamentalist Hindu. And she had stuff on record of being anti-LGBTQ, and she turned around. She changed her mind. What do you think?
She had an A rating in terms of voting record on
right,
LGBTQ issues as a
right. I
congresswoman.
mean, so some of the conservatives here are complaining that she's speaking because from the American Conservative Union, she has like an 8.2 rating out of 100 or something. So, she changed her mind. What do you think? She had never heard of the Republican Party. There was a reason that she chose to be a Democrat. Clearly, she was leaning more towards that kind of an ideology. And what did they do? They told her to go fuck herself. They told her no matter what kind of conversion you might have on these issues, you turned against our anointed queen for 2016. You can do no right. We're going to use our media foot rubbers to go after you and attack you every time you say something. We won't engage you in honest debate about anti-war. We're going to smear you as an Assad apologist instead of honestly engaging with the arguments that you're making. We're going to portray you as a Putin puppet. Why the fuck wouldn't she be speaking at CPAC? What have they done to avoid this outcome?
No, I don't fault her for speaking at CPAC whatsoever, and I agree with almost everything you said.
Well, I think
it's
look,
a little tough.
She came from this conservative background,
Sure,
and so that sits there latent. But clearly she had decided, no, my sympathies overall are with the left. And they told her to go fuck herself. So, what instead of going on a journey of being this progressive champion, maybe a little more conservative on certain things than other Democrats, but, not much. There was a little strain of that with her always. And they pushed her further and further and further until what is she supposed to do? She has no future as a Democrat. Clearly, it doesn't matter what she does. She can wrap herself up in a big pride flag 365 days a year. They're always going to be attacking her and ostracizing her and criticizing her. So where is she going to go? Well, if she wants to continue in politics, she kind of has to go over to that camp, and that's the position they put her in.
Yeah, I mean, look, even in terms of like social issues, I mean, she went after Kamala on the
marijuana
debate stage. She basically humiliated Kamala. She said, you were on tape laughing about locking black people up for marijuana offenses and stuff like that. So she got to Kamala's left on that issue. The thing that's really tough to swallow is the cradle to grave entitlement talk with Bill Beck.
I agree, but I'm just saying I don't think she would have been this person if she hadn't been treated the way that she was. This is what I'm saying. Look, it's writ large a point that you made that a lot of those Sanders people ended up with Trump, and now you're never getting them back. Now, she didn't go so far as to end up with Trump, but I think she's an example of that phenomenon where they basically kicked her off the island, and now you can't complain that she's off the island.
No, you can't really complain. Like I said, I don't blame her for speaking. The reservation I would have, I mean, I would, if she would modify that a little bit, if she would come off of the ridiculous, just like classic right-wing talking.
I don't approve of it, but I don't think this didn't have to happen. This didn't have to happen. No, I think if she hadn't been treated the way that she was treated, I don't think she would have taken those views. I think over time she got pushed to the right because of the way she was being treated by the so-called left.
Look, I think supporting her would be a no-brainer if she would come off of that Reaganite rhetoric just a little bit, which she probably would if she ended up running for president, right? Because, I mean, that doesn't seem to be really who she is. And that's what I mean. Like, you go on Hannity and you don't push back against that shit at all. Yeah, I mean, that's a strike against you in my book. Like, it's hard. I can't say it's not. I mean, you can't.
Sure. But look, setting that aside, she's perfect. She's in terms of a candidate who could win because on the Republic, not as a Democrat, as a Republican. That's exactly where she should be in keeping with the article that I wrote. Yes, running as a relatively progressive Republican. She's an Indian woman, military vet who's generally anti-war and supported Bernie Sanders. That is the perfect candidate to destroy any Democrat they put up against her. And the irony of ironies, I think Republicans would come out to vote for her just for this. If the Republicans get to put the first woman in the White House. Like, just for the trolling potential of that alone, Republican turnout will be through the roof.
Well, no, look, that I agree with 100%, which is if she could make it through the primary somehow, she would destroy any Democrat. Destroy them. I think she was the most electable Democrat in 2020, honestly. I think she's the perfect general candidate. I do. I mean, I think from a standpoint of like who could win, of course she could win. She's an economic populist. She's left on a lot of cultural issues, but not left on the cultural issues that really get the right wing culture war people going. She's like, for legalized marijuana, right? She's, anti-racist in a lot of ways that she, destroyed Kamala Harris on that very issue on the debate stage, right?
Well, not only that, look, I don't want to presume. And, you're not going to get a lot of this in the mainstream media, but a lot of people are going nuts right now. There's this NCAA swim meet going on where a transgender swimmer from, I believe it's UPenn, is breaking all the records and getting all the medals and all of this. People are very angry about this kind of thing. And we were talking about this yesterday. They're very angry about, some of the backlash against schools right now is because parents saw what their kids were being taught because they were being schooled at home and they actually saw what was being taught in the schools. A candidate right at this moment, like Tulsi, who is not like a straight white man, so can't be labeled that way, who comes out and says, clearly there was a problem with this swim meet that we need to step back and ask how we're going to handle this issue. We cannot just blanket say anybody who identifies as a gender can compete in that sport because look what happened here. Look what happened here. You cannot argue that's not an element of it. No fucking Democrat is going to say anything like that. But the person who does say that and does say that about a wide range of issues where Democrats have gotten on the wrong side of the public culturally is going to destroy the Democrats. Like I was telling you yesterday, I know Democrats who are pissed off because they got rid of the testing in the New York City schools. They put all this into their kids to try to get them into a good school, and they can't now. So you're going to lose a lot of those people too. A lot of people that you wouldn't necessarily expect. A lot of those suburbanites who voted for Biden, they're not going to vote for him because they don't like where the party is going culturally. And there's nobody in the party with the balls to speak out on it.
Yeah, no. So there are a few different gaps that she could bridge. So Russell's theory of a progressive populist Republican coup might be coming to a convention near you in Florida. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe wherever you saw it, on YouTube, on Rumble, or on Facebook. We have channels on all three of those platforms. Also, consider helping us create more content by becoming a member at patreon.com/do-dissidents or on Facebook, where you can become a supporter right through our Facebook page and get bonus content every week, as well as call-in access to our live stream shows. Thank you very much for your continued support.